Welcome to Golden Haven. Tonight's story is The Last Lighthouse Keeper of May. Get comfortable, close your eyes, and let's begin. The valley where time fell asleep. The first light of dawn stretched gently across the quiet river beside the little white cottage. Inside, the book of gentle stories rested peacefully upon the old oak desk. Its pages shimmered faintly, as though they were breathing with the morning breeze. Mira awoke to the soft melody of birds singing outside her window. The everbloom flower still glowed beside her lantern, its petals as radiant as the day she had received it. She smiled. Another peaceful day had begun. As she stepped outside, Captain Rowan was already standing by the riverbank. His weathered brass compass rested in his hands. Yet something was different. The compass needle spun slowly, without finding north. "It has never done this before," he said quietly. Mira looked at the sky. The sun had risen. The clouds drifted gently. Everything seemed perfectly normal. "What does it mean?" Before Rowan could answer, the bell of dawn rang once. Its familiar note echoed across the valley. But this time, the sound did not fade. It lingered in the air, like a single note that refused to end. The birds suddenly stopped singing. The breeze became still. Even the river seemed to slow. Oliver stepped out of the cottage carrying his wooden whistle. "Can you feel that?" "It feels as though time has slowed down." Grandmother Linnea walked quietly from the garden, her silver shawl fluttering gently behind her. She closed her eyes, then opened them with quiet concern. "I hoped I would never see this again." Captain Rowan turned toward her. "What is happening?" Linnea looked toward the distant northern mountains. Beyond them, a faint silver glow pulsed beneath the horizon. "There is only one place where this can begin. The Valley of Sleeping Time." Mira repeated the word softly. "The Valley of Sleeping Time?" Linnea nodded. Long ago, hidden beyond the northern mountains, there stood a great clock unlike any ever built. It did not measure hours. It did not count days. It gently guided the rhythm of dawn, twilight, dreams, and peaceful rest. Oliver frowned. What happened to it? Linnea's voice became almost a whisper. One morning, it stopped. At that exact moment, something extraordinary happened. High above them, the stars were still visible, although the sun had fully risen. Tiny silver stars sparkled across the bright blue sky. They should have disappeared with the night, but they remained, frozen, silent. Captain Rowan slowly looked upward. The stars, they've stopped moving. A gentle chill passed through the valley. Then, a tiny silver feather floated down from the sky. It landed softly inside Mira's lantern. The golden flame flickered. For the first time, its light turned silver. The book of gentle stories suddenly opened by itself. Its pages turned rapidly, faster and faster, until they stopped on a completely blank page. Slowly, elegant silver words appeared. "When the clock of the stars falls silent, time itself begins to dream." A quiet hush settled over the cottage. Far beyond the mountains, a single ancient clock tower emerged from the morning mist. Its enormous clock face had no moving hands, no ticking gears, only stillness. Waiting, Captain Rowan gently closed his compass. He smiled at Mira. "It seems our next journey has already begun." Mira lifted the lantern. Its silver flame reflected in her determined eyes. Then together, they stepped onto the northern path, toward the forgotten valley. where time itself had fallen asleep. The keeper of the silent clock. The northern path stretched quietly beneath the silver morning sky. Although the sun shone brightly, the stars still lingered overhead. They sparkled softly, frozen in place as though the night had forgotten to leave. Mira walked at the front, her lantern glowing with its mysterious silver flame. Captain Rowan followed beside her, while Oliver and grandmother Linnea quietly admired the peaceful mountains rising in the distance. The air felt different. Not cold, not warm, simply still. Even the wind seemed to be holding its breath. After several hours, the travelers reached the edge of a narrow valley. Ancient stone pillars lined the entrance, each carved with beautiful images of the moon, the sun, and countless tiny stars. Between the pillars stood a weathered stone arch. Across its top, faded silver letters read, "Only those who respect time may enter where time sleeps." As Mira stepped beneath the archway, her lantern shone brighter. The silver flames stretched upward like a tiny shooting star. Immediately, the heavy mist covering the valley slowly drifted apart. A breathtaking landscape appeared before them. Crystal streams flowed so slowly that every droplet seemed suspended in midair. Wildflowers remained perfectly still despite the gentle breeze. Butterflies hovered above the blossoms without moving their wings. It was beautiful, yet strangely silent. Oliver whispered, "It feels like the whole valley is paused." Grandmother Linnea nodded. "This is the valley of sleeping time. Here, every second waits patiently." Far ahead, standing alone in the center of the valley, rose an enormous clock tower. Its white marble walls shimmered beneath the sunlight. Golden vines climbed toward its highest windows. The great clock face reflected the sky like polished glass, yet its hands remained perfectly still, pointing forever toward the same forgotten moment. As they approached, they noticed someone sitting quietly beneath the tower. An elderly man dressed in deep blue robes polished a tiny silver pocket watch. His long white beard rested upon his chest. Around his shoulders hung a cloak embroidered with tiny golden stars. Without looking up, he smiled. I wondered how long it would take for the lantern to find its way here. Captain Rowan bowed respectfully. "You know about the lantern?" The old man nodded. "I know every light that has ever guided a lost traveler." He finally looked at them. His eyes sparkled gently, carrying the calm wisdom of countless years. "My name is Horace. I am the keeper of the silent clock." Mira stepped forward. "Can you tell us why time has stopped?" Horace closed the tiny pocket watch in his hands. "It has not stopped. It has become afraid." The travelers looked at one another in surprise. "Afraid?" Oliver asked softly. Horace nodded. For centuries, the great star clock kept perfect harmony between night and day. But one evening, the stars began to disappear from people's hearts. They hurried. They worried. They forgot to rest. They stopped listening to quiet moments. And slowly, the clock lost its song. Mira lowered her eyes thoughtfully. "So the clock doesn't need to be repaired." Horace smiled warmly. "No, it needs to be remembered." At that moment, a soft metallic sound echoed from within the tower. Tick, only once. Then silence returned. The great clock hands trembled ever so slightly before becoming still again. Horace stood and pointed toward the towering doors. The heart of the clock still beats, but it cannot awaken alone. He gently placed the silver pocket watch into Mira's hands. The moment she touched it, its tiny hands began moving. Tick, tick, tick. A warm silver glow spread across the valley. The frozen butterflies slowly fluttered their wings. The flowers gently swayed. The crystal stream flowed a little faster. Captain Rowan smiled. Hope has already begun its work. Then, the enormous doors of the clock tower slowly opened by themselves. Inside, a staircase of glowing gears spiraled upward into the light. Somewhere far above, a gentle ticking could almost be heard, calling them onward. The Hall of Living Gears. The great doors of the clock tower closed gently behind them. A peaceful hush filled the air. The only sound was a soft tick, then another tick. The rhythm echoed through the tower like the slow heartbeat of an ancient giant. Mira held Horace's silver pocket watch close to her chest. With every gentle tick, the little watch glowed a little brighter. Captain Rowan lifted his lantern. Its silver flame reflected from thousands of polished brass gears that covered the towering walls. Some gears slowly turned. Others stood perfectly still. Oliver looked around in amazement. I've never imagined a place like this. The staircase beneath their feet spiraled upward through the center of the tower. Each step was carved from smooth white stone. Tiny silver stars were engraved along the edges, sparkling whenever the lantern's light touched them. As they climbed, the ticking grew stronger. Not louder, just clearer, almost musical. Soon they reached a vast circular chamber. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Hundreds of enormous gears floated gently in the air. None of them touched, yet each moved in perfect harmony with the others. Golden gears, silver gears, crystal gears that shimmered like frozen rain. At the very center floated one enormous gear. It remained completely still. Its surface was decorated with delicate carvings of the moon, the stars, the seasons, and peaceful dreams. Grandmother Linnea gazed at it quietly. The heart gear. Horace nodded. It keeps every peaceful rhythm in balance. But it no longer remembers its song. Mira slowly approached. As she stepped closer, the silver pocket watch began to vibrate softly. Its ticking matched the silent rhythm of the great gear. Tick, tick, tick. Without warning, tiny lights appeared around the chamber. One after another, hundreds of glowing memories floated through the air like shimmering bubbles. Inside one, a mother gently tucked her child into bed. Inside another, an old man watched the sunset from a quiet porch. A little girl planted her first flower beside her grandmother. A sailor rested beneath a sky full of stars after a long voyage. Captain Rowan smiled warmly. These are peaceful moments. Horace nodded. The great star clock was never powered by machines. It was powered by moments like these. Oliver watched another glowing memory drift past. Two friends sat beside a campfire, saying nothing, simply enjoying the silence. He whispered, "So even quiet moments matter." "They matter the most," Horace replied. "The world often forgets that rest is not wasted time." Just then, a gentle crack appeared across the surface of the heart gear. The travelers gasped. The crack slowly spread like delicate silver glass. From within emerged a tiny figure no taller than a sparrow. She had shimmering wings woven from starlight. Her silver hair floated gently around her face. She carried a tiny hourglass filled with glowing blue sand. The little guardian opened her eyes. They sparkled like the evening sky. She looked sadly at Horace. I tried to keep the clock awake, but every day the stars grew quieter. Horace smiled gently. You've done well, little one. He turned to the travelers. This is Astra, the guardian of moments. Astra bowed politely. There is still hope, but the heart gear is missing something. Mira knelt beside her. What is it missing? Astra gently turned the tiny hourglass upside down. The blue sand flowed slowly. Only 3 grains remained. Then she whispered, the final minute. The chamber fell completely silent. Captain Rowan frowned. The final minute. Astra nodded. Every day has one last peaceful minute before a dream begins. Long ago, people treasured it. They watched the stars. They listened to the wind. They shared gentle stories. But now, they hurry past it. They forget it exists. The silver lantern in Mira's hand glowed brighter than ever before. A single beam of light reached toward the motionless heart gear. For the first time in countless years, the great gear moved. Only one tooth. Just one. Tick. The sound echoed through the tower. Far outside, the frozen stars shimmered ever so slightly. Hope had awakened once more, but the journey to restore time had only just begun. The final minute before every dream. The single tick echoed through the ancient clock tower. Its gentle sound drifted upward through the hall of living gears, across the silent valley, and into the bright morning sky where the frozen stars shimmered ever so slightly. Astra smiled for the first time. The heart gear remembered one beat, but it needs many more. Mira looked at the tiny guardian of moments. Tell us how we can help. Astra slowly floated toward the great heart gear. She placed her tiny hand upon the silver crack that stretched across its surface. Long ago, this crack had glowed with soft golden light. Now, it was pale and quiet. The great star clock, she whispered, does not measure hours. It measures peaceful endings. Captain Rowan tilted his head. Peaceful endings? Horace nodded gently. Every evening, before sleep arrives, there is one final minute. A minute when hearts become still, when worries begin to fade, when bedtime stories become dreams. Oliver quietly smiled. My grandfather always sat beside the window for 1 minute before sleeping. He never spoke. He simply watched the stars. Horace's eyes sparkled warmly. He was helping the clock. Oliver looked surprised. He didn't even know. The kindest things are often done without knowing, Horace replied. Just then, the silver pocket watch in Mira's hands opened by itself. Instead of numbers, its face now displayed tiny glowing scenes. A mother kissing her sleeping child goodnight. An old lighthouse keeper lighting his lantern. A grandmother closing the final page of a bedtime story. A traveler whispering, tomorrow will be a better day. Each memory lasted only a heartbeat, then faded into soft starlight. Astra turned the tiny hourglass over once more. Only 2 glowing grains of blue sand remain. The final minute is disappearing. If the last grain falls, the stars will forget how to guide dreams. The chamber became silent. Even the floating gears slowed. Mira gently closed her eyes. She remembered something. The quiet evenings beside the river. The peaceful songs of Maestro Selim. The gentle laughter inside Grandmother Linnea's cottage. Captain Rowan's lantern shining through the darkness. Every peaceful moment they had shared. She softly whispered, "Perhaps the final minute isn't something we find. It's something we create." Horace smiled. "You are beginning to understand." Mira lifted the lantern of hope. Its silver flames slowly blended with warm golden light once again. The room filled with a calm glow. Captain Rowan removed his weathered brass compass. Oliver lifted his wooden whistle. Grandmother Linnea held a glowing memory blossom. Astra carefully raised her tiny hourglass. Together, without speaking, they simply stood in peaceful silence. 1 full minute passed. No one hurried. No one worried. The Hall of Living Gears felt wonderfully still. Then, tick, the heart gear turned again. This time, not 1 tooth, but 3. Golden light rushed through the enormous gears. Hundreds of silent clocks hidden throughout the tower awakened together. Tick, tick, tick. Their gentle rhythm blended into a soothing melody. Outside, the frozen river began flowing once more. Butterflies danced above the flowers. The stars slowly drifted across the daylight sky, preparing at last to rest beyond the horizon. Astra laughed with quiet joy. It worked. The clock remembers peace. But before anyone could celebrate, a deep, distant chime echoed from the very top of the tower. Not gentle, not frightening, ancient. The entire tower trembled softly. High above, behind a magnificent crystal door, a faint blue light appeared. Horace looked upward with quiet wonder. The chamber of the first star. It has awakened. Captain Rowan lifted his lantern. It seems the clock has one final secret left to reveal. Together, they began climbing the last spiral staircase toward the highest room in the tower, where the very first star of every night had quietly waited for centuries. The chamber of the first star. The spiral staircase wound higher and higher through the ancient clock tower. With every step, the gentle ticking below grew softer, replaced by a quiet melody that seemed to come from the stars themselves. Mira held the lantern of hope close. Its golden and silver flames danced together, casting warm light upon the crystal walls. Captain Rowan walked just behind her, his old brass compass now pointing steadily upward. "It knows where we are meant to go," he whispered. Oliver looked through a narrow window. Outside, the sky shimmered with countless stars, even though the morning sun still bathed the valley in gentle light. "They're waking," he said with a hopeful smile. At last, the travelers reached the top of the tower. Before them stood a magnificent crystal door. It was taller than any tree they had seen, carved with delicate constellations that slowly moved across its surface. At its center rested a single star-shaped keyhole. Astra floated forward, holding her tiny hourglass. Only one glowing grain of blue sand remained. She looked at Mira. The chamber of the first star opens only when hope and time walk together. Mira gently reached into her satchel. There, resting beside the ever-bloomed flower, was the little crystal key they had discovered at the Lake of Quiet Hearts. As soon as she lifted it, the key began to glow. It slowly transformed into a radiant star of pure light. Without a sound, it floated into the keyhole. For one peaceful heartbeat, everything became still. Then, the crystal door opened. A warm breeze drifted through the chamber. It carried the scent of lavender, fresh rain, and blooming jasmine. Inside was a vast circular room unlike any place they had ever seen. The ceiling was not made of stone. It was the night sky itself. Thousands upon thousands of stars sparkled overhead, close enough to touch. In the very center of the chamber floated a single brilliant star. It was larger than the others. Its light was soft, never blinding, gentle, welcoming. Horace bowed his head. The first star, the one that appears every evening to remind the world that rest is near. Mira stepped closer. The star pulsed gently, as though it had a heartbeat. But something was wrong. Its light flickered. It was growing dim. A tiny shadow circled around it like a cloud. Oliver frowned. "Why is it fading?" Horace answered quietly. "The first star grows brighter every time someone ends their day with peace. But when hearts carry only worry, its light begins to fade." Captain Rowan slowly removed his lantern's glass. The golden flame rose into the air. Instead of burning, it became a tiny ribbon of light that gently wrapped around the first star. The star brightened a little. Still, it was not enough. Grandmother Linnea smiled kindly at Mira. Every guardian must one day give something of their own. Mira looked down at the everbloom flower resting in her hands. It had traveled with her through every journey. It had never faded. She understood. With a peaceful smile, she placed the flower beneath the first star. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then, the flower blossomed one final time. Its petals dissolved into thousands of tiny sparks of golden light. Each spark floated upward, surrounding the first star like glowing fireflies. The shadow slowly disappeared. The first star shone brighter than ever before. Its warm light spread across the chamber, across the tower, across the valley, and far beyond the mountains. Outside, the frozen stars finally began their graceful journey across the sky once more. Night and day returned to their gentle rhythm. Astra turned her tiny hourglass over. Instead of one grain, it was now completely full of glowing blue sand. She laughed with quiet delight. Time is dreaming again. Just then, the first star released a single beam of silver light toward the far side of the chamber. As it touched the crystal wall, another hidden doorway slowly appeared. Above it were ancient words that shimmered softly. "Beyond this door waits the hour that has never been lost." Captain Rowan smiled. "Our journey isn't over yet." Mira nodded, her lantern glowing brighter than ever. Together, they walked toward the mysterious doorway, ready to discover the next secret hidden within the heart of time, the hour that had never been lost. The hidden doorway opened without a sound. Beyond it stretched a long hallway made of polished crystal, glowing softly beneath the light of the restored first star. The walls shimmered with countless tiny clocks. None of them had numbers. Instead, each clock held a single beautiful memory. One showed a child falling asleep while listening to a bedtime story. Another reflected an old couple watching the sunset hand in hand. A third revealed a lonely traveler smiling after hearing a stranger say, "You are welcome here." Oliver walked slowly beside the glowing clocks. "They're all peaceful moments." Horace nodded. "These are the hours of the heart. They are the moments people remember long after ordinary hours have passed." Captain Rowan smiled. So time was never about counting. It was always about living. As they reached the end of the hallway, a magnificent chamber came into view. It was perfectly round. At its center floated an enormous glass clock unlike any they had seen before. Its face shimmered like calm water. Instead of numbers, 12 glowing stars circled its edge. Its hands moved so gently they were almost impossible to notice. Above it, written in silver light, were ancient words, the hour that has never been lost. Mira gazed at the beautiful clock. It feels alive. Astra fluttered beside her. It is. This clock keeps every peaceful hour that people believe they have lost forever. Grandmother Linnea stepped closer. So no quiet moment is ever truly gone. Horace smiled warmly. Never. Kindness is remembered. Love is remembered. Hope is remembered. The clock keeps them all. Just then, the great glass clock began to glow. Its surface rippled like a still lake. One by one, gentle visions appeared. Mira saw herself writing the first words in the book of gentle stories. Captain Rowan watched his younger self lighting a lighthouse lantern during a storm. Oliver smiled as he saw the tiny robin he had rescued as a child take its first flight into the sky. Grandmother Linnea watched children laughing in the magical garden she had lovingly cared for over the years. Even Horace smiled quietly as he remembered the very first evening he had become keeper of the silent clock. Each memory shone brighter than before. Then, the 12 stars around the clock suddenly stopped moving. A peaceful silence filled the chamber. From the center of the glass clock emerged a graceful woman clothed in robes woven from moonlight and dawn. Her silver hair flowed gently like a quiet river. Tiny stars sparkled around her with every step. A mysterious island of floating crystal appeared for only a brief moment. Upon its highest peak stood an enormous sundial made of white marble. Its shadow did not move. Seraphine watched it thoughtfully. She whispered, "The sundial of tomorrow has fallen silent." Captain Rowan looked toward the distant island. It seems, time still has another story waiting to be told. The travelers exchanged peaceful smiles. With hearts full of hope, they stepped toward the window, ready to follow the final wandering star into a new adventure. The island where tomorrow waited. The floating crystal island shimmered high above the clouds. For only a heartbeat, it seemed almost like a dream. Then the silver star drifting from Seraphine's hourglass flew toward the open window. It paused, as though inviting the travelers to follow. Seraphine smiled gently. The star knows the way. She raised her crystal hourglass. A stream of tiny stars flowed into the air, weaving themselves into a magnificent bridge of light. The bridge stretched beyond the tower, across the endless sky, until it reached the floating island. Captain Rowan gazed upward with quiet wonder. "I've crossed many seas, but never a bridge made of starlight." Mira held her lantern close. Its golden and silver flames glowed together, lighting each step before them. Oliver looked over the edge. Far below, the Valley of Sleeping Time rested peacefully. Its rivers sparkled once more. Its flowers danced gently in the breeze. The great star clock continued its calm rhythm. Everything was alive again. After a peaceful walk across the shimmering bridge, the travelers reached the floating island. It was unlike any place they had ever seen. The grass shimmered like emerald silk. Crystal flowers opened and closed with every gentle breeze. Small streams of liquid light flowed silently across the ground. At the center of the island stood the enormous sundial. It was carved from flawless white marble. Golden symbols circled its wide face. Yet, its long crystal shadow remained perfectly still. It pointed toward neither morning nor evening, only silence. Grandmother Linnea looked thoughtfully at the motionless shadow. This is the sundial of tomorrow. It reminds the world that every sunrise is a new beginning. Oliver frowned. Then why has it stopped? Before anyone could answer, a cheerful laugh echoed across the island. The travelers turned. Running between the crystal flowers came a little boy, no older than 8. His curly brown hair danced in the wind. Around his shoulders fluttered a tiny blue cloak embroidered with silver stars. In his hands he carried a beautifully crafted paper kite shaped like a swallow. The kite had no string, yet it floated happily beside him. The boy smiled brightly. "Hello, I've been waiting for you." Captain Rowan exchanged a surprised glance with Mira. "You knew we were coming?" The boy nodded. "The stars told me. My name is Elliot. I take care of tomorrow." Oliver blinked. "You take care of tomorrow?" Elian laughed softly. "Not tomorrow itself. The hopes people leave behind for it." He walked toward the great sundial, gently placing his hand upon its marble surface. "It has become very heavy." Mira stepped closer. "Heavy?" Elian's smile faded just a little. "Too many people have forgotten to believe that tomorrow can be better. They carry yesterday's worries. They fear today's mistakes. And they stop planting tomorrow's dreams." The travelers stood quietly. The island itself seemed to sigh. The crystal flowers lowered their glowing petals. Even the streams of light flowed more slowly. Captain Rowan removed his old brass compass. Its needle no longer pointed north. Instead, it pointed directly toward the heart of the sundial. At that same moment, Mira's lantern shone brighter. Its light revealed something hidden beneath the marble. Tiny cracks, very small, but spreading. Grandmother Linnea whispered, "The sundial isn't breaking. Its hope is fading." Suddenly, the paper kite in Elian's hands lifted into the sky by itself. It circled above the sundial once, twice, then gently landed upon the motionless shadow. Instantly, the shadow trembled, only slightly. A single ray of golden sunlight pierced the clouds. The great marble sundial moved, barely the width of a single leaf. Elian's eyes sparkled with hope. "It hurt us, but one tiny movement isn't enough." He looked at Mira with a gentle smile. "If tomorrow is to awaken, we must first help the world remember how to hope again." Far beyond the island, on the horizon of the endless sky, a magnificent golden tree slowly emerged from the clouds. Instead of leaves, its branches held thousands of glowing clocks, each shining with the promise of a brand new dawn. Captain Rowan smiled softly. "It seems our journey has led us to the tree of tomorrow." The gentle breeze carried the sound of distant birds greeting another sunrise. And together, the travelers followed the path of light toward the golden tree, where the next chapter of time was waiting to bloom. The tree that grew tomorrow's dawn. The path of light wound gently across the floating island. With every step, the air became warmer. The scent of blooming jasmine drifted softly on the breeze. Above them, the sky shimmered with delicate shades of gold and pale blue. Ahead stood the magnificent tree of tomorrow. Its trunk was formed from crystal and golden wood intertwined like flowing ribbons. Instead of leaves, thousands of tiny clocks hung from every branch. Some were made of silver, others of polished oak. Some glowed with sapphire light, while others sparkled like tiny stars. None of them made a sound. Captain Rowan gazed upward in amazement. "I've never seen so many clocks." Horace smiled. "These are not clocks that count time. They count hope." Oliver stepped beneath the great tree. One little clock gently swayed toward him. Inside its crystal face appeared the image of a young girl planting a tiny apple seed. Oliver smiled. "She believes it will become a great tree." Horace nodded. "Every hopeful beginning grows here." Nearby, Mira noticed another clock. Inside it, an elderly woman was teaching her granddaughter how to bake bread. Both were laughing. The little clock glowed warmly before returning to stillness. "So every act of hope becomes part of this tree?" "Exactly," Seraphine answered. "The future is built from countless gentle moments." Just then, a cool breeze passed through the branches. Every tiny clock rang together. Not loudly, only a soft ting. The sound floated across the island like the beginning of a peaceful lullaby. Then, one clock remained silent. It hung from the highest branch. Unlike the others, its glass had become cloudy. Its hands refused to move. Elian looked up sadly. "That's the clock of tomorrow's promise. It has almost forgotten how to shine." Mira gently asked, "Can we help it?" The little boy nodded, but not with magic, only with belief. Captain Rowan looked thoughtfully toward the horizon. When sailors crossed dark oceans, they couldn't always see the shore, but they believed morning would come. That belief carried them forward. Grandmother Linnea smiled. "And gardeners plant seeds long before they ever see flowers." Oliver softly added, "Musicians play the first note without knowing how the song will end." Mira closed her eyes. She thought of every person they had met. Elias, who remembered his music. Lyra, who found the courage to paint again. The lighthouse keeper. The sleeping gardens. The quiet lake. The first star. Every journey had begun with someone choosing hope. She opened her eyes and whispered, "Tomorrow begins whenever someone believes today can become better." As those words echoed beneath the great tree, the silent clock trembled. Its cloudy glass slowly became clear. Its tiny golden hands moved forward. Tick! A single golden leaf drifted from the highest branch. Instead of falling, it floated gently into Mira's hands. The leaf transformed into a delicate golden feather. Its edges shimmered with morning light. Seraphine smiled with quiet joy. "You have received the feather of tomorrow. It appears only to those who remind others never to lose hope." Suddenly, every clock upon the tree began ticking together. Thousands of gentle rhythms filled the island. The sundial of tomorrow slowly cast its first moving shadow across the crystal grass. Sunlight spread farther than before. The floating island glowed with renewed life. Elian laughed happily. "It has awakened." At that very moment, far beyond the tree of tomorrow, the clouds slowly parted. A magnificent staircase of sunlight appeared, climbing higher into the heavens than the eye could follow. At its summit floated a breathtaking palace made entirely of golden light. Its towers sparkled like the dawn itself. Seraphine gazed upward. Her voice became almost a whisper. "The palace of the first morning." Horace smiled gently. "It has opened its gates once more." Captain Rowan adjusted his lantern and looked toward his companions. It seems our journey is leading us to the place where every sunrise is born. With peaceful hearts, the travelers stepped onto the radiant staircase, following the golden light toward the highest skies, where the greatest secret of time was waiting to be revealed. The palace where the first sunrise was born. The staircase of sunlight rose gently above the clouds. Each step shimmered like polished gold, warm beneath the travelers' feet. There was no wind, no sound of rushing air, only a peaceful silence that felt older than time itself. Mira held the feather of tomorrow in one hand and the lantern of hope in the other. Together, they glowed with a soft harmony of silver and gold. Captain Rowan smiled quietly. I've sailed beneath countless dawns, but today, it feels as though we're walking toward the very first one. Oliver looked down through the clouds. Far below, the tree of tomorrow sparkled like a tiny jewel. The valley of sleeping time rested peacefully beyond it. Everything they had healed was glowing with gentle life. After a long climb, the staircase reached a magnificent palace suspended in the sky. Its walls were built from crystal that captured every color of sunrise. Golden towers stretched gracefully into the heavens. Thousands of tiny bells hung from their rooftops. Whenever the morning breeze touched them, they sang the softest melody imaginable. The great gates opened before the travelers. No guards waited, only light, warm, welcoming, endless light. Inside the palace lay an enormous circular hall. The ceiling shimmered with moving skies. Morning, afternoon, evening, and night flowed gently across it in a never-ending dance. At the center floated a radiant sphere of golden light. It was brighter than any lantern, yet softer than candlelight. Around the sphere circled hundreds of tiny birds made entirely of light. Their wings painted delicate ribbons of dawn across the air. Grandmother Linnea stopped in quiet wonder. The heart of morning. Seraphine bowed her head. It awakens every sunrise. It reminds the world that every new day is another chance to begin again. Mira slowly stepped closer. The sphere pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. But suddenly, its light flickered, just once, then again. Captain Rowan frowned. Something is still wrong. Before anyone could answer, a small voice echoed across the chamber. Morning cannot rise alone. The travelers turned. Standing beside the glowing sphere was a young girl dressed in robes the color of the dawn. Her long golden hair shimmered like the first rays of sunlight. Around her shoulders rested a cloak woven from tiny feathers of light. In her hands, she held a beautiful silver trumpet. She smiled kindly. My name is Aurora. I am the first morning bell. Oliver blinked. You ring the morning? Aurora laughed softly. Not with sound, with hope. She gently touched the glowing sphere. Every sunrise begins when someone, somewhere, chooses to believe that today can be better than yesterday. Her joyful smile faded just a little. But lately, many hearts have awakened carrying only yesterday's worries. The heart of morning grows dim when hope is forgotten. Mira looked at the feather of tomorrow. It began glowing warmly in her hand. Without thinking, she lifted it toward the radiant sphere. The feather dissolved into thousands of tiny golden sparks. Each spark floated gently into the heart of morning. The great sphere brightened immediately. The birds of light circled faster, singing beautiful melodies that echoed throughout the palace. Outside, the horizon blazed with breathtaking colors. Soft pink, golden amber, gentle lavender, brilliant sapphire. The most beautiful sunrise the travelers had ever seen spread across the endless sky. Aurora smiled. You've reminded the morning of its purpose. She handed Mira the silver trumpet. It no longer belongs to me alone. Whenever the world needs hope, let gentle stories become its morning song. As Mira accepted the trumpet, a clear, peaceful note rang through the palace. Far beyond the clouds, children opened their windows to greet a new day. Birds began their morning songs. Flowers turned toward the rising sun. Even the great star clock below chimed happily in perfect rhythm. Then, the heart of morning released a single ray of brilliant white light. It traveled upward through the palace ceiling and into the heavens. There, a magnificent doorway of pure starlight slowly appeared. Beyond it stretched an endless sea of shimmering constellations. Seraphine looked upward, her eyes filled with quiet wonder. The sea of endless stars. Horace smiled gently. It seems the final chapter of our journey is drawing near. Together, the travelers gazed toward the glowing doorway, ready to cross into the place where every star, every sunrise, and every peaceful dream were forever woven together. The sea of endless stars. The doorway of pure starlight slowly opened. Beyond it stretched an endless ocean unlike any sea the travelers had ever seen. There was no water, only countless stars floating upon waves of soft silver light. Each gentle wave shimmered like moonlight dancing across a peaceful lake. Captain Rowan stood silently. His eyes reflected thousands of constellations. I've sailed every ocean I could find, he whispered. But this is the sea every sailor dreams of. Mira stepped through the glowing doorway first. The moment her feet touched the silver waves, they became solid beneath her. Tiny stars bloomed wherever she walked, then slowly drifted upward into the heavens. Oliver laughed softly. It feels like the sky is carrying us. Seraphine smiled. The sea of endless stars welcomes only peaceful hearts. The travelers continued across the glowing ocean. There was no hurry. The sea itself seemed to move at the quiet rhythm of a sleeping heart. Above them, millions of constellations slowly turned through the heavens. Some formed graceful birds. Others became ancient trees, gentle whales, soaring dragons, and magnificent ships sailing through the night. Every constellation told a silent story. After a peaceful journey, they noticed something shining far ahead. A small island floated in the middle of the sea of endless stars. Its shores were made of silver sand. At its center stood a magnificent observatory built entirely from crystal. Its great dome remained open to the heavens. Inside, an enormous telescope pointed toward the brightest star in the sky. Waiting beside it stood an elderly woman dressed in robes woven from midnight blue and silver. Tiny stars rested within her flowing white hair. She smiled kindly as the travelers approached. I have been expecting you. Horace bowed deeply. Lady Celestia. The travelers followed his respectful greeting. The woman inclined her head. I am Celestia, keeper of the endless sky. She gently placed one hand upon the crystal telescope. For countless ages, I have watched over every star that has ever guided a dreamer home. Mira gazed into the telescope. What are you watching? Celestia smiled. Not the stars, the dreams that travel between them. With a graceful motion, she invited Mira to look through the telescope. Mira carefully peered inside. Instead of distant stars, she saw beautiful scenes unfolding across the world. A father reading a bedtime story to his daughter, a nurse comforting a frightened child, a lonely musician smiling as someone applauded for the first time. Every constellation shimmered together. Celestia closed her eyes with a peaceful smile. The heavens remember. But one final journey still remains. She pointed toward the far horizon. There, where the stars met eternity, a magnificent bridge of pure moonlight slowly appeared. At its end stood a radiant gateway surrounded by 12 glowing moons. Above it, written in shimmering silver letters, were the ancient words, "The Gateway of Eternal Dawn." Captain Rowan gently lifted his lantern. Its golden and the Gateway of Eternal Dawn. The moonlit bridge stretched endlessly across the sea of endless stars. Each step shimmered beneath the traveler's feet like soft silver glass. Above them, 12 glowing moons floated peacefully in a great circle, their gentle light bathing the bridge in quiet radiance. No one hurried. Some paths were meant to be walked slowly. Mira carried the lantern of hope in one hand and the silver trumpet in the other. Together, they glowed with a calm harmony of gold and silver. Captain Rowan smiled as he looked toward the magnificent gateway waiting ahead. I've always believed every sunrise has a beginning, but I never imagined we would find its doorway. Oliver gazed into the endless heavens. Every constellation now shone brightly. The constellation of tomorrow sparkled with renewed life. It seemed to bow gently toward the travelers. As they reached the end of the bridge, the gateway of eternal dawn stood before them. Its towering arches were carved from crystal that glowed with every color of sunrise. 12 luminous moons circled slowly above it. At the center of the gate rested a beautiful emblem, a rising sun embraced by a circle of tiny stars. Seraphine stepped forward. This gate opens only once each century. It welcomes those who have restored harmony between time, hope, and dreams. The great gateway slowly opened. Beyond it lay a breathtaking valley unlike anything they had ever seen. There was no night. There was no day. The sky shimmered forever in the peaceful colors of dawn. Golden rivers flowed gently through fields of glowing flowers. Crystal birds soared silently overhead. Every breeze carried the fragrance of fresh rain, blooming roses, and lavender. At the center of the valley stood a magnificent tree whose branches reached beyond the clouds. Its leaves were made of light. Its roots shimmered beneath the earth like flowing stars. Around every branch floated thousands of tiny suns, each no larger than a lantern. Grandmother Linnea whispered with quiet wonder, "The tree of eternal dawn." Horace bowed respectfully. "It is older than the stars themselves." Mira stepped closer. One tiny sun drifted gently from the tree. It hovered before her. Inside its warm glow appeared a peaceful scene. A little boy closing his eyes after hearing his favorite bedtime story. A mother smiling as she gently covered him with a blanket. Outside the window, the first morning star faded as dawn arrived. The little sun floated back to the tree. Oliver smiled. So every peaceful ending becomes a new beginning. Horace nodded. That is the oldest promise of time. Suddenly, a gentle voice echoed throughout the valley. It was neither loud nor soft. It simply felt as though the entire world was speaking. Welcome. The travelers turned. From beneath the great tree of eternal dawn emerged a graceful woman clothed in robes woven from sunlight and starlight together. A delicate crown of 12 tiny stars rested upon her silver golden hair. Her eyes reflected every sunrise that had ever touched the world. She smiled with endless kindness. I am Solara, guardian of eternal dawn. Every traveler bowed. Even Seraphine lowered her crystal hourglass. Solara looked lovingly at Mira. You have carried hope through forgotten gardens. You awakened the first star. You restored the silent clock. You reminded tomorrow how to dream. She gently placed her hand upon the lantern of hope. The lantern's golden and silver flames rose into the air, joining together above the tree of eternal dawn. Instantly, every tiny sun upon its branches shone brighter. Across the heavens, a brand new constellation slowly appeared. Unlike all the others, its stars formed the shape of an open book with a glowing lantern at its center. Captain Rowan looked upward with tears of quiet joy. A new constellation. Horace smiled. It shall forever be known as the Storyteller's Light. Far below, children across the world peacefully drifted into sleep. Travelers found safe paths beneath gentle stars. Old friends reunited. New dreams quietly began. The heavens themselves seemed to breathe with peace. Then, Solara looked toward the distant horizon. Beyond the valley, where the sky met endless light, a magnificent golden door slowly appeared. Its surface shimmered like calm water beneath the morning sun. Upon it were written 6 gentle words. Every ending opens another beginning. Mira smiled softly. She understood. This journey had never truly been about clocks, or stars, or magical places. It had always been about carrying hope from one heart to another. Together, the travelers walked toward the golden door, knowing that beyond it waited the final chapter of their extraordinary adventure. The library beyond the golden door. The great golden door opened without a sound. Warm light poured gently across the valley, wrapping the travelers in a comforting glow. As Mira stepped through, she felt as though time itself had become wonderfully peaceful. Beyond the doorway lay no palace, no garden, no castle. Instead, there stood the most magnificent library anyone could ever imagine. Its endless shelves curved gracefully beneath a sky filled with glowing constellations. The walls were built from polished crystal. The ceiling shimmered with slow-moving galaxies. Thousands upon thousands of books rested upon golden shelves. Each book glowed with its own gentle light. Some were deep sapphire blue, others emerald green. Some shimmered like silver moonlight. Others glowed with the warm colors of sunrise. Oliver whispered, I've never seen so many books. Grandmother Linnea smiled. This is the library of endless tomorrows. Every hopeful story ever told. every peaceful dream ever shared, every bedtime tale that helped a weary heart rest, finds its place here. Captain Rowan slowly walked between the endless shelves. He gently touched one glowing book. Its cover read, "The Boy Who Found Courage Beneath the Northern Lights." Another book appeared beside it, "The Baker Who Filled Winter with Warm Bread." Then another, "The Violin That Remembered Every Smile." Mira smiled softly. "They're all stories of hope. They always have been," Horace replied. Just then, one shelf began to glow brighter than all the others. At its center rested a single empty book. Unlike every other volume, its cover was pure white. No title, no author, only a tiny golden lantern engraved upon its front. Solara gently lifted the book. "This one has been waiting." She placed it carefully into Mira's hands. The moment Mira touched its cover, golden letters slowly appeared. "The Clock That Stopped the Stars." Oliver gasped. "Our journey. The book has written itself." Solara smiled. "No, you wrote it. Every kind choice, every peaceful word, every heart you helped. They became its pages." The book slowly opened. Inside, every chapter of their adventure appeared in shimmering silver ink. The Valley of Sleeping Time, the Keeper of the Silent Clock, the Hall of Living Gears, the First Star, the Tree of Tomorrow, the Palace of the First Morning, the Sea of Endless Stars. Every step of their journey lived within its pages. Captain Rowan quietly laughed. So stories never truly end. They simply become stories for someone else. At that moment, a tiny child wandered into the library. She looked no older than 6. Her curly black hair framed bright, curious eyes. She carried a worn little blanket and looked around in wonder. "Excuse me," she asked shyly. "I'm looking for a story that isn't scary." Mira knelt beside her with a warm smile. "What kind of story would help you sleep peacefully?" The little girl thought for a moment. "One where everyone finds their way home." Mira gently closed the glowing book. Then she smiled. "I know exactly the story." She sat beside the child beneath a crystal window overlooking the stars. As she began reading the very first page, the entire library filled with a soft golden light. One by one, every glowing book upon every shelf quietly opened. Across countless worlds, children smiled in their sleep. Parents whispered gentle bedtime stories. Lonely hearts found comfort. Hope quietly spread from one story to another. Solara watched peacefully. Then she whispered, "The greatest clock was never built from gears. It was built from moments of love shared between hearts." Just then, far beyond the crystal windows, a single star drifted gently across the heavens. Instead of fading, it became brighter and brighter until it transformed into a magnificent silver staircase rising toward a distant sky where another peaceful mystery quietly waited. Captain Rowan smiled. "It seems every story leaves another waiting to be discovered. The staircase that reached beyond the last star." The magnificent silver staircase rose gracefully into the endless heavens. Its steps shimmered with the gentle light of countless stars, each one glowing like polished moonstone. The little girl continued listening peacefully as Mira finished the first chapter of the clock that stopped the stars. A sleepy smile appeared on her face. She hugged her little blanket tightly. "I like this story," she whispered. "It feels safe." Mira gently closed the book. "I'm glad. Every story should leave a little light behind. The child yawned softly. Then, with a peaceful wave, she wandered deeper into the library of endless tomorrows, where thousands of gentle stories waited for future dreamers. Solara watched her disappear among the glowing books. Another heart has found its way. Captain Rowan smiled. And another star has grown brighter. Outside the crystal windows, the silver staircase continued climbing higher than the eye could follow. It seemed to reach beyond the constellations themselves. Seraphine quietly lifted her crystal hourglass. Every grain of starlight inside shimmered peacefully. The staircase appears only when a story has fulfilled its purpose. Oliver looked upward. Where does it lead? Horace answered with a warm smile. To the place where every story says goodbye. Mira tilted her head. But stories never really end. Horace nodded. Exactly. They simply become part of someone else's beginning. Together, the travelers stepped onto the silver staircase. The higher they climbed, the quieter everything became. Soon they rose above the constellations, above the sea of endless stars, above the palace of the first morning. Even the tree of eternal dawn now shimmered far below like a tiny golden blossom. Ahead, one final island floated peacefully in the endless sky. It was small, simple, beautiful. A single white bench rested beneath an ancient cherry tree. Its silver blossoms drifted gently through the air like falling snow. Nearby stood a crystal fountain. Instead of water, tiny stars flowed gently from its center before floating upward into the heavens. Captain Rowan breathed deeply. It feels like home. Grandmother Linnea smiled. It feels like every home. Waiting beside the fountain stood an elderly woman dressed in robes of pearl white. Her hair shimmered with silver threads. In her hands, she carried a small candle whose flame never flickered. She welcomed them with a gentle bow. My name is Evelyn. I am the keeper of quiet farewells. Oliver looked around curiously. Farewells. Evelyn nodded. Not sad farewells. Peaceful ones. The kind that remind us every ending carries gratitude. She invited them to sit beneath the cherry tree. One by one, they rested upon the wooden bench. No one hurried to speak. The silence itself felt comforting. After a while, Evelyn gently placed her little candle in the center of the bench. Its warm flame reflected in every smiling face. She asked softly, "What have you learned?" Captain Rowan smiled first. I learned that guiding others never dims our own light. Grandmother Linnea nodded. I learned that every forgotten dream can bloom again. Oliver looked toward the stars. I learned that home isn't only a place. It's the kindness we carry wherever we go. Seraphine smiled. I remembered that time is happiest when it brings peace. Horace gently closed his silver pocket watch. I remembered that every quiet minute matters. Finally, everyone looked toward Mira. She held the lantern of hope close to her heart. After a peaceful moment, she answered, I learned that even the smallest gentle story can become a star in someone's darkest night. Evelyn's eyes sparkled with quiet joy. The candle's flame suddenly grew brighter. Above them, thousands of silver blossoms drifted from the cherry tree. As each blossom touched the sky, it became a brand new star. The heavens welcomed them with soft, shimmering light. Far beyond the island, a final path of golden petals slowly appeared. It curved gently back toward the little white cottage beside the quiet river. Captain Rowan smiled warmly. I think it's finally time to go home. The travelers stood together beneath the ancient cherry tree. Their journey across time, stars, and hope was nearing its peaceful conclusion. Yet every heart knew the greatest story was the one they would continue to share with the world. Part 14. The journey home beneath the morning sky. The golden path of flower petals stretched gently through the heavens. Each petal glowed with the warmth of a peaceful sunrise. Behind them, the little island beneath the silver cherry tree slowly faded into a soft mist of starlight. Evelyn stood beside her ever-burning candle. She smiled warmly and raised one hand in farewell. Remember, those who carry hope are never truly far from home. As the travelers continued along the glowing path, the sky around them slowly began to change. The stars faded one by one. The constellations quietly returned to their places. The sea of endless stars shimmered below like a silver mirror. Everything was returning to its gentle rhythm. Mira looked at the lantern of hope. Its flame had become perfectly balanced. Golden light and silver light danced together as one. It feels different now, she whispered. Seraphine smiled. It no longer carries only hope. It carries wisdom. Captain Rowan walked beside her, his old brass compass resting quietly in his pocket. For the first time in many years, the compass no longer searched for a direction. Its needle rested peacefully in the center. Horace noticed and smiled. When a traveler finally understands the journey, the heart no longer asks where to go. It simply knows. Oliver gently laughed. I think my heart knows now. Far ahead, the familiar white cottage appeared beside the quiet river. Smoke curled gently from its chimney. Wildflowers danced in the morning breeze. The sight filled every traveler with quiet happiness. As they crossed the final bridge over the peaceful stream, something extraordinary happened. The silver trumpet Aurora had given Mira slowly floated into the air. Its gentle melody echoed across the valley. Not loud, not grand, simply peaceful. The music drifted through the forests, across the rivers, over the mountains. Wherever the melody traveled, people paused. A tired baker smiled before opening his little shop. A child looked up from a difficult lesson and decided to try once more. An elderly gardener planted another flower. A lonely traveler looked toward the sunrise with renewed courage. Captain Rowan quietly watched the music spread across the world. So this is how hope travels. Solara nodded gently, not through miracles, but through small acts of kindness repeated every day. When they reached the cottage door, it slowly opened by itself. Inside, everything was exactly as they had left it. The oak writing desk stood beside the wide window. The book of gentle stories rested peacefully upon its surface. Beside it lay a single blank page. Waiting, Mira sat quietly before the journal. She picked up the old fountain pen. Without hesitation, she began to write. Every sunrise begins with hope. Every peaceful night ends with gratitude. And between them lies the quiet kindness that changes the world. As the final word appeared upon the page, the entire book glowed with warm golden light. Every chapter they had written shimmered together. The garden of forgotten dreams. The clock that stopped the stars. Every journey, every lesson, every gentle heart they had met. The stories had become part of something far greater than themselves. Outside, the bell of dawn rang softly. The great star clock continued its peaceful rhythm. The tree of tomorrow shimmered beneath the morning sky, and high above, the newest constellation, the storyteller's light, sparkled quietly, reminding dreamers everywhere that every ending is simply the beginning of another beautiful story. Captain Rowan smiled at Mira. I believe we have one final page left to write. The morning breeze gently turned the next blank page of the book of gentle stories. At the top, beautiful silver letters slowly appeared. The last gift of time. Mira smiled softly. She knew their greatest lesson was still waiting. The journey home beneath the morning sky. The golden path of flower petals stretched gently through the heavens. Each petal glowed with the warmth of a peaceful sunrise. Behind them, the little island beneath the silver cherry tree slowly faded into a soft mist of starlight. Evelyn stood beside her ever-burning candle. She smiled warmly and raised one hand in farewell. Remember, those who carry hope are never truly far from home. As the travelers continued along the glowing path, the sky around them slowly began to change. The stars faded one by one. The constellations quietly returned to their places. The sea of endless stars shimmered below like a silver mirror. Everything was returning to its gentle rhythm. Mira looked at the lantern of hope. Its flame had become perfectly balanced. Golden light and silver light danced together as one. It feels different now, she whispered. Seraphine smiled. It no longer carries only hope. It carries wisdom. Captain Rowan walked beside her, his old brass compass resting quietly in his pocket. For the first time in many years, the compass no longer searched for a direction. Its needle rested peacefully in the center. Horace noticed and smiled. When a traveler finally understands the journey, the heart no longer asks where to go. It simply knows. Oliver gently laughed. I think my heart knows now. Far ahead, the familiar white cottage appeared beside the quiet river. Smoke curled gently from its chimney. Wildflowers danced in the morning breeze. The sight filled every traveler with quiet happiness. As they crossed the final bridge over the peaceful stream, something extraordinary happened. The silver trumpet Aurora had given Mira slowly floated into the air. Its gentle melody echoed across the valley. Not loud, not grand, simply peaceful. The music drifted through the forests, across the rivers, over the mountains. Wherever the melody traveled, people paused. A tired baker smiled before opening his little shop. A child looked up from a difficult lesson and decided to try once more. An elderly gardener planted another flower. A lonely traveler looked toward the sunrise with renewed courage. Captain Rowan quietly watched the music spread across the world. So this is how hope travels. Solara nodded gently, not through miracles, but through small acts of kindness repeated every day. When they reached the cottage door, it slowly opened by itself. Inside, everything was exactly as they had left it. The oak writing desk stood beside the wide window. The book of gentle stories rested peacefully upon its surface. Beside it lay a single blank page. Waiting, Mira sat quietly before the journal. She picked up the old fountain pen. Without hesitation, she began to write. Every sunrise begins with hope. Every peaceful night ends with gratitude. And between them lies the quiet kindness that changes the world. As the final word appeared upon the page, the entire book glowed with warm golden light. Every chapter they had written shimmered together. The garden of forgotten dreams. The clock that stopped the stars. Every journey, every lesson, every gentle heart they had met. The stories had become part of something far greater than themselves. Outside, the bell of dawn rang softly. The great star clock continued its peaceful rhythm. The tree of tomorrow shimmered beneath the morning sky. And high above, the newest constellation, the storyteller's light, sparkled quietly, reminding dreamers everywhere that every ending is simply the beginning of another beautiful story. Captain Rowan smiled at Mira. I believe we have one final page left to write. The morning breeze gently turned the next blank page of the book of gentle stories. At the top, beautiful silver letters slowly appeared. The last gift of time. Mira smiled softly. She knew their greatest lesson was still waiting. The last gift of time. The morning breeze gently turned the final blank page of the book of gentle stories. The silver words at the top shimmered softly. The last gift of time. Mira looked at the page. It was empty. No story appeared. No magical light filled the room. Only peaceful silence. She looked toward Horace. I don't understand. The book has always known what to write. Horace smiled gently. Not this page. This one belongs to you. The cottage became wonderfully quiet. Outside, the river flowed peacefully beneath the golden morning sun. A robin landed upon the windowsill and sang a cheerful melody before flying away again. Captain Rowan rested his lantern beside the writing desk. Its golden and silver flame burned with a calm, steady light. There is one lesson every keeper must discover alone. Oliver sat beside the window, watching white clouds drift slowly across the blue sky. It feels different today. Seraphine nodded. The adventure is ending, but life is continuing. Grandmother Linnea walked into the garden and returned carrying a tiny wooden box. It was carved from pale oak and decorated with little stars and flowers. She placed it gently before Mira. I've carried this box for many years. It has been waiting for the next storyteller. Mira slowly opened the lid. Inside rested, not jewels, not magic, only 3 simple objects. A smooth white feather, a tiny acorn, and an old brass key. Oliver looked puzzled. What do they mean? Linnea smiled warmly. She picked up the feather. The feather reminds us to be gentle. She lifted the acorn. The acorn reminds us that even the smallest beginning can become something wonderful. Finally, she held up the little brass key. And this key opens hearts through kindness. Mira carefully held the 3 gifts. They felt ordinary, yet somehow more precious than anything she had ever carried. Outside, the bell of dawn rang softly. Its peaceful note drifted across the valley. Far away, the great star clock answered with a gentle tick, tick. The door slowly began to open. A new face stood waiting in the warm morning light, carrying the beginning of another beautiful story. The first story of a new dawn. A gentle knock echoed through the little white cottage. No one hurried to answer. Some moments were too peaceful to rush. Mira stood and walked slowly to the wooden door. As she opened it, she found a young boy standing quietly on the doorstep. He carried a small canvas satchel across his shoulder. In his hands was an old pocket watch. Its hands had stopped at exactly 7 o'clock. The boy smiled shyly. I'm sorry to bother you. I heard that someone here knows how to help forgotten stories. Mira smiled warmly. You've come to the right place. She welcomed him inside. Captain Rowan placed another chair beside the fireplace. Grandmother Linnea poured a cup of warm herbal tea. Oliver knelt beside the boy. What is your name? The boy looked at the silent pocket watch. My name is Noah. This belonged to my grandfather. He told me it would begin ticking again. When I discovered what truly mattered, the room became peacefully quiet. Horace gently examined the little watch. He smiled. It isn't broken. Noah looked surprised. It isn't. Horace shook his head. It is waiting, just as every heart waits for the right moment to understand. Mira placed the book of gentle stories upon the oak table. She opened it to its final page, the page where she had written about the greatest gift of time. She gently read the words aloud. Time gives us many gifts. Some are ours, some are days, but the greatest gift is every quiet moment we choose to fill with love, hope, and kindness. Noah listened carefully. He slowly looked down at the old pocket watch. Then he smiled. My grandfather never cared if we were late. He always stopped to watch sunsets. He always listened when someone wanted to tell a story. He said, the best moments cannot be measured by a clock. At that very instant, the old pocket watch gave a gentle tick, then another tick. Its hands began moving once again. Not quickly, not slowly, simply, perfectly. The cottage filled with warm golden light. Outside, the bell of dawn rang joyfully. Far beyond the valley, the great star clock answered in every kind word, every gentle smile, every quiet bedtime story, and every heart that chose hope over fear. For wherever someone paused to watch the sunrise, or listened to the whisper of the evening wind, or shared a peaceful story before sleep, the clock that stopped the stars would quietly keep ticking, not to count the passing hours, but to remind the world that the most precious moments are the ones filled with love, kindness, and hope. And so, beneath the sky where the stars always remembered every gentle dream, a new storyteller opened the first page of another unwritten adventure. The clock continued its peaceful rhythm. The lantern continued to shine, and the story went on forever. Thank you for visiting Golden Haven. Sleep peacefully, and we'll meet again in the next gentle story. The end. Thank you for visiting Golden Haven. Sleep peacefully, and we'll meet again in the next gentle story.